Good morning again. Let's take a couple more breaths. So exhale first. Take a deep breath in. And let it go. Another deep breath in. And let go. One more deep breath in. And let it go. And so, our theme for 2023 this year is Living Out Loud. And each month we're exploring qualities or attributes or aspects that we are inviting us as a community to step into to learn how to live out loud in a new way. So last month we talked about curiosity as the first piece of this living out loud that we're awakening, and really talking about this curiosity, this childlike excitement for life, as really being that core presence that lives within each one of us. And then it kind of might get trained out of us over the course of our lives, and we start to just think we know everything. And we want to bring that return back to that curiosity, that willingness to be open, to see new possibilities, to think into new thoughts, right? And so this month we're stepping into cultivating the power of authenticity. How's that sound? I heard some ahs, so we like that one. Authenticity sounds great. Well, what does that mean, right? Well, I guess the first question I would ask is, do you know who you are? Like, really? Do you know who you are? You know, as I was driving here this morning, I heard the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland. Who are you? Like, that could be your unanswerable question. That could be your curiosity you take for the rest of the year. Who are you? Who are you really? Right? Because you might identify yourself by your name. I am my name. You might identify yourself by your history or something that has happened to you, or all of the umdiddle-umpteen various labels we all wear that tell us who we think we are. Right? And then there's all of the projections that the world gifts us based on all of those labels, right? That if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're white, if you're black, if you're this, if you're that, there's all kinds of stories that come with that either you have bought into or the world has told you about yourself based on those ideas about who we are. And those external versions of who we are not actually the truth of who we are. There's a lot of importance for us to see the differences and value the histories that we all carry, but underneath it, there's something so much more, right? And it's the depth, it's the truth of who we are. And right, when we go into our spiritual mind treatments, when we do prayer here, we always go to that first step, that one truth, that God is all that there is. That there is one source, one life, one power, one presence, that is the core of who each one of us is. Right? That each one of us is the universe, that each one of us is manifest from the mind of God, that each one of us is pure presence, pure perfection, pure possibility, unlimitless, here in these limited forms. Right? And part of, I think, the power of spirituality and of practices like meditation specifically is that it gives us the opportunity to step back from these identities, from these selves that we wear, and take a step back in the stillness to ask that question, who am I? And to keep stepping back, and to keep stepping back. Don't go too far. But stepping back into that place where we can tap into that sense of truth that there is a something greater within us that is the who that all of us is. You know, it's actually an incredibly radical thought to think about the fact that you and I are the same being. Like, that's almost mind-breakingly hard to wrap our minds around, right? And if there is only one life, if there is only one consciousness, if there is only one being in all the universe, and that's what I call God, then that's what's speaking right now. But that's also what's hearing it right now, right? It's what's nodding in the head or staring at me blankly right now, right? It's here in and as all of us. And in order for us to tap into that, when we tap into that, each of us can then become an opening for the true expression of that to come through, the uniqueness that each one of us is, right? There is a core oneness at the center of all of us, but the beauty is that each one of us is unique. Each one of us has a specific way that that one wants to come through us. And that is always happening, regardless of whether we want it to or not, regardless of whether we're doing it consciously or not, regardless of whether we're aware of it or not. That's what's happening, is that the Spirit of the living God is pouring through each one of us. The question is, what is it coming through? Right? Because if you look at the science of mind symbol up here, this is our teaching symbol. At the very top, it's open. All possibility, the pure infinite limitlessness of all that is. At the bottom, it's a pinpoint. That's you. That's me. The little expression that happens. In the middle is all the stuff it's being filtered through. Your history, your beliefs, all those labels, what the world has projected on you, who you think you are, what you think you're capable of, all of the thoughts and beliefs and ways of doing and being that happen inside of your head, all of that infinitude is filtering through that into your life. And so the question is, when you look at your life, do you see pure, authentic expression of your greatest good, of the truth of who you are showing up? Or do you see evidence that there might be stuff in there that's not the truth about you? Is there stuff showing up in the world? Is there stuff showing up in your community? Is there stuff showing up in your body or your life that's telling you there's something in the way of this creative process? Do you feel like you're living in your greatest truth, power, presence, authenticity, and possibility in every moment? Do you? I see some no's. We have work to do. There's stuff to clean up, right? And what would happen if we started to peel away all of the layers that life has put on top of us and start to let the truth of who we are shine through? Right? What would happen if every person in the world was truly living in their greater authenticity, in their greater joy, in their greater bliss, in their greater power? There's a quote that I love from a great teacher by the name of Howard Thurman, and he says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Right? And so much of the world is asleep. So much of the world is afraid, perhaps, of their own passions. So many people in the world have been cut off access from those passions and possibilities. And so our job here is to begin to open up ourselves, open up our community, open up the pathways where we can allow each other to be seen, where we can value each other's truth, where we can value each other's creativity, where we can value what each other has to give to the world. Because I see this place as a place where a lot of really authentic people like to come. Yes. Yeah. I see you dancing in here on Sunday, in your freedom and in your power. It's beautiful, right? And then I see some of us sitting in the back of the room going, I want to be that free, right? And we can. Let us learn from each other. Let us create safe space where we can let ourselves out and not be afraid who's looking or watching, right? What if we truly lived into what is possible, if we could hold each other in the curiosity that it takes to see the truth in the other? Because each one of us, if there's only one of us here, each one of us then becomes a reflection back to each other. And what we see in the other tells us something about ourselves. And in that mutual seeing, we can awaken the truth of who we are. There is so much more to each one of us than we can see. And Emma Curtis Hopkins, one of the founders of the New Thought movement, uses this great analogy of each one of us is given a clear lens when we're born. And then over the course of our life, we run into some storms, or a horse runs by and splashes some mud, or whatever it is. And mud and dirt and debris and all this stuff ends up on the window. And so whether we're looking in or looking out, what we see is all the layers of stuff on top of that perfect clarity. And I think the power of spiritual practice, of spiritual community, of meditation, it's just sort of like window washing practice. You know, we've just got to wash the windows every once in a while to start to let the light in, but also to let the light out. Because this is both ways, right? If we're covered up in all of our shame and all of our judgments about ourselves or each other, first we don't allow ourselves to be seen. And then if we're walking around carrying all that shame and judgment and all that stuff, then we don't allow ourselves to see anybody else. And then there's a whole bunch of people just walking around like trying to get through life, and we're all bumping into each other. And it starts to hurt, it gets really uncomfortable, and no one's having fun anymore. Right? And so can we just like do some window washing, like spritz each other's eyes with the magic lens of truth, you know, and start to see into the truth of each other. But also that takes some vulnerability. It takes a willingness to be seen, right, which also might be kind of scary, right? But that means we also then have to hold each other and be willing to see, be willing to be seen, be willing to be in these shared spaces with each other, where we open up to something more, right? So this is just a little opening. We're going to spend all month talking about how we can cultivate authenticity as a community and as individuals in our spiritual practice. Because this is part of us learning how to live out loud, is to speak our truth to each other, to share with each other, and practice being seen by each other, and also allowing ourselves to see and be seen back and forth. Right? Maybe even just start with yourself in the mirror at home. Make sure you clean the mirror first. And ask yourself that question, who are you really? Or look into the mirror and tell yourself that you love you. Try it. I do it every day. It works. Right? And if you can look for God in yourself, which might be a difficult practice. Can you sit in front of the mirror and look for God? They might look back at you. You might see it. And if you can start to look for it in yourself, then go out into the world and start looking at other people. Are you God? Do you see it? Because it's in there. If you look for it, you'll find it. Right? And so let's be about uncovering that greater truth about who we are everywhere we go. And we can be the window washers that the world needs. We start with ourselves, and then we bring that out everywhere we go. Okay? So take a deep breath and let it go. Take another deep breath in and let go. And as we breathe, I invite us first and foremost to remember that there is one who is breathing all of us. That this one is life. That this one is God. That this one is the infinite potential possible. I claim, know, and declare in this moment that there is one seamless presence that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe, and it is this one who is the truth of each one of us. That at the core of our being, underneath all the layers that life has given us, there is pure truth, pure life, pure power, pure potential. That is the life force, the light source, the love force that is who each one of us is. And so let this day be a day where we begin to let the layers drop away. To begin to open ourselves to remember that we are here to allow the truth of who we are to shine forth. To let that power and presence shine into the world. To let each one of us not only heal ourselves, but to be a healing presence for the world. Because the truth is who we are. Love is who we are. Light, power, presence, possibility is who we are. And so let us open to that awareness today and let that light shine forth through our eyes. Let us practice it here in this place with each other. As we greet each other, let us look for God. Let us allow ourselves to be seen. Let's be honest about how we're doing and ask for what we need. And so I just give a word of gratitude for this container, this space that we call community, because something is emerging here, and it's coming through each one of us. So let us, in that gratitude, then remember that there is indeed a power for good in this universe that is so much greater than we are, and yet it is who we are. So let it unfold through us in everything we do, shining that light of truth everywhere we go. And so we let it be. We breathe it in, and so it is.